What's up, Bitcoin Radio? It's your man, Joe Blackburn. Welcome to another episode where today we're going to talk about crypto mining, Bitcoin mining, and all things mining. I find this topic to be exceptionally interesting, and it's something that I have dabbled in here and there, but I've never actually been considered a miner. But I know a lot of people who are genuinely interested in it, and I know a lot of people who just don't understand it whatsoever. So today I'm going to have a special guest. It's Dustin Minch. He's a good friend of mine, but he's also the founder of cryptominingtips.com. We're going to get into a little bit about his introduction here shortly. But I kind of wanted to lay the foundation of why I chose this topic for this episode. And I would even say as much as people are starting to get back into the space. People are starting to take this space a little bit more seriously again. And, you know, we've had this consistent 9, 10, 8, 11, 12,000 Bitcoin. And it's exciting again, right? It's people are getting back into this on a mental level where they're buying back in. Now, what happened in 2017? We saw all these altcoins come in. We saw mining and we saw all these other types of staking and these proof of concepts and all different weird ways of creating and making more crypto. And some of it was fun. Some of it was interesting. Some of it, paved the way. But most of all, it all fell back onto what Bitcoin's doing, right? And we're at that point today. And I want to get a good foundation for everybody to understand what Bitcoin mining is and just in general. And I have no better person to do it than Dustin Minch. As I introduce him here shortly, he's a good friend of mine. He's a moderator on Crypto Coin Trader, but he's the founder of cryptominingtips.com, and he's the one and only. And he'll vouch for me when I say this. If I ever have a mining question, I'm going to him first, right? So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce Dustin here. Welcome to the show, man. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. I'm glad to be on the show. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, man, I'm here to talk about mining.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time coming. This is something that me and you wanted to do together in some capacity. It's the perfect opportunity, I think. I'm glad to have you on, but it's an honor to be your friend too, Dustin. You've helped me out a lot. You've given me a lot of insight on many different occasions, and not only on mining, just in crypto in general. You have a lot to say, and you have a lot of really good ideas. And let's just kind of get with your background first. Like, tell us who you are and, like, really, I guess, how you even got into crypto.
Obviously, you guys know my name's Dustin. And so I actually got into mining probably back in early 2017. That was actually when I got into the crypto space, months before the bull run and stuff like that. And so I tried a few other different platforms and stuff like that kind of, obviously all of us, we want to get into the crypto space. We want to earn a passive income. We want to generate wealth, right? That's why the majority of us are in here. Obviously the tech too, but we believe in that, but we're in it for the transfer of wealth. And so early on, I kind of looked into mining and I was like kind of blown away. I'm like, so I'm going to build a machine and this thing's going to like print money. You know what I mean? Like that was the whole idea behind it. And so at the time, there wasn't really a lot of information on the internet about it, but I actually, I was kind of just intrigued by it. And I was like, well, let's just build a mining rig. And so I talked to one of my IT buddies and said, hey, can we build one of these things? And he's like, man, that's, you're just going to spend a lot of money on graphics cards. I was like, well, I just want to build one. And so we did it, and we got it to work the very first try, which is kind of, at the time, it was kind of unheard of because mining's, it's kind of a hard thing. But
what were you mining, by the way?
Well, so, we kind of went with the herd at that time, and we were mining Ethereum because that was like the biggest coin to mine at the time.
How much was it? Do you remember?
It was floating around $50 to $70. And I think that, some of the profits then were like, to build like just to give you some reference, to build like a $3,000 mining rig, it was projected to make around $600 to $400 a month profit. So that, to me, I thought that was
absolutely
honestly better than real estate. I was like, where else are you going to get a good return on your investment?
And this was before the initial run, the major run up to 1,000 plus for Ethereum in 2017, right?
Yeah. And kind of, and I think that, I did some research going back through there, and the profits were kind of down before that. But at the beginning of 2017, things started creeping up, and graphics cards were kind of getting hard to get. But I actually, I built the first one, and then my buddy showed me how to build it, and it was just on like Donkey Kong from there. I was hooked. I was obsessed. And so, yeah.
I remember back in the day, though, when we were in a situation like where you were saying, how graphics cards became hard to find, that there was computer gamers that could not find graphics cards anywhere. And I think a lot of people who've been in the space long enough probably remember those articles and stuff that came up. But, Dustin, what's fun about our relationship and our friendship is that I've watched your mining farm go from a few different, I don't even want to say it was that small back then. To me, it was huge just to begin with. but it's been like one stack of miners, and then there was like 50 stacks, and now there's like 2,000 stacks of just like things like built on top of each other. You've got this incredible operation. You built this all off your crypto profits too, you know? And, I remember your transition into full-time miner. I guess I should say more so, I watched your transition into full-time miner from our beginning of our friendship early on, because we became friends around that time period. Let's just start, and I know you said you started with Ethereum, but let's just go to Bitcoin. Like, explain Bitcoin mining. What does it mean to mine a Bitcoin, and how is it mineable? Like, what makes this? And obviously I know this. I'm asking the question as someone who is representing maybe somebody who doesn't understand this.
Let me try and just break this down at like a very basic beginner level, because there's many layers to it. And so essentially, with Bitcoin mining, what you're doing is you're verifying transactions on the network. So what I think that a lot of people, when they're in the crypto space, they don't realize that when they send a Bitcoin from their wallet to like a friend's wallet or to pay for something, well, the mining pool has to pick that transaction up and verify it. And so that's essentially what we're doing. The miners are doing. And so, when it comes to like Bitcoin mining, what most people know about it is, and a lot of this information is kind of old information, is that you used to be able to mine this stuff with just a laptop. And if you look back through Bitcoin talk in the early stages in 2011, 2012, there was people using a laptop mining 50 Bitcoin a day on that. And so if you could have been in that gold rush, but nobody knew that Bitcoin was going to be so valuable at that time. It was just kind of like a science project at that time. And so it probably somewhere around 2011, it graduated. Somebody realized that graphics cards were really great for mining, and they were more efficient than using just a laptop, or a CPU is what they call it. And so then somebody developed the software, and then GPU mining was developed. And then probably, don't quote me on this, somewhere around 2012 to 2013, Chinese manufacturers picked up on it, and the first ASIC miner was developed. And so what most people don't realize is that Bitcoin is hard-coded to produce a block every 10 minutes, or 2016 blocks every 2 weeks. And so there's nothing that nobody can do to change that. And so when you start adding more hash rate to the network with these faster chipsets, with the GPUs and the ASICs and stuff like that, that has grown the network in size. And so the mining difficulty to mine a Bitcoin has gone up significantly since then. And so
now, is it the competition, and based off the fact that all these people are using really incredible, machines to mine, or is this based off of just, the price of Bitcoin? I know they probably correlate a lot, but is it really the competition that's driving the size and the speed of these machines?
Well, so yeah, actually, I think it really does boil down to that. And I think that there's areas overseas that have a really, really significantly cheaper electric rate.
Sure.
And so these are large mining operations that have tens of thousands of ASIC miners. I'm talking, just massive farms. And so they're able to operate at a very low cost. And so they just continue to keep on plugging more miners onto the network. There's that are going across the globe that are just deploying, mass deploying thousands of these miners. And so it does create competition. And so then, if you're going to mine Bitcoin these days, if you're going after true Bitcoin mining, you're going to need to know, you're going to need to get an ASIC miner, and it's going to have to be a newer one. And you're going to have to be in an area where you can have a cheap electric rate to be able to compete with these guys. Now, that's not to say that you can't still make money at a 12 or 11 cent rate. Some of these, I imagine some of these mining operations, just to kind of give people a reference, they're operating probably somewhere around 3 cents to 12, or 3 cents to 6 cents per kilowatt. The average in America is around 11 or 12 cents a kilowatt. And so that's not to say you can't make money in it, but there's going to be highs and lows in it when you're exposing your cost, your operational costs when they're that high. You can't ride Bitcoin mining down to $3,000. And, you probably right now at the current state with an 11 cent rate, you're going to have a very difficult time trying to maintain a profit. Now, I said all that because in 2017, those miners were making me so much money during that time that it was able to cover my hardware costs, my operational costs. So I did get my money back out of it, and I have some equipment that I could potentially resell. So I don't want anybody to think that just because we live in America, we can't enjoy Bitcoin mining too. We can. It's just I wouldn't do it on a mass scale where you're investing tons of capital. I would keep it small, stuff like that for sure.
And, I look at Bitcoin mining two different ways. You're either mining to accumulate additional Bitcoin to stack, or you're mining for profit, and that's your job, and you've kind of been able to do both. And I'm sure most, especially, I don't want to call you a part-time miner because you are a full-time miner, but you also have a regular job as well. And, that allows you to be able to sustain how much Bitcoin, that you're able to stack, or Ethereum or whatever else it might be. Now, let's translate that into what you're actually focusing on today. And that is not necessarily Bitcoin. You are kind of going in a direction, and have been for some time. Like you said, from the very beginning, you've been an Ethereum miner, and you'll switch back and forth, and what's profitable, what's not profitable. You've got this website, cryptominingtips.com.
Crypto miner tips. Yeah.
Well, that's a big difference. I apologize. Cryptominertips.com. And, you've your success has been evident by, what you've been able to do, and you're trying to pass that knowledge along, and you appreciate helping people like nobody else. You do a lot of what you do for free, a lot like me, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you're able to sustain and give that much time without being compensated. So you have your different ways of doing that. And I think everybody agrees, with affiliate links and stuff on your site, but you have a gigantic resource of information on your website, cryptominertips.com. So let's talk about why Ethereum, right? I assume you're still mining Ethereum today, but if not, I know that you mine several different types of crypto during a week, potentially, depending on what's going on. Break it down. What's the current state of crypto mining?
So for me, really, as far as the Bitcoin mining, I do have some ASIC miners right now. I do have those shut off just because they're kind of loud, and so the juice has to, the juice has to be worth the squeeze. And so if the mining profits for ASICs were there, I would have those definitely plugged in right now. So most of my, although I will say that on my GPU mining level, currently I am mining altcoins, but I'm exchanging those altcoins with a special software for Bitcoin. I'm trying to accumulate more Bitcoin just because I want to make sure that I have a decent sized position. And at the end of the day, you can never have enough Bitcoin. So,
absolutely.
But on a small scale, also too, I've kind of shifted a little bit back to a little bit of getting back to mining's roots and doing some laptop spec coin mining. And it's not guaranteed to bring me anything, but there are a few projects out there that are kind of interesting to me, and I like to laptop mine them because everybody's got a laptop laying around their house somewhere, and if you can accumulate these coins and spend $3 a month in electricity with a laptop mining these, then
worth it.
Hang on to them. Yeah, hang on to them for 2 or 3 years. If they're not worth anything, you spend a little bit of money.
In minimal, like you said, $3-4.
Yeah, $3-4, and you get to learn something.
And more than likely you were using your laptop for something, or you left it on or something along those lines anyways. And so it maybe just increases a little bit so oftentimes it's of no cost even. Yeah.
And so, I kind of as it in 3 different layers. And so, as far as
so let me, and I hate to interrupt you. Let's talk about your Bitcoin miners. You said you have those right now. If you just were to plug one of those in, and I'm sure there's somebody who's interested, who's listening right now, saying, well, I might go buy a ASICs miner, from, wherever. And obviously you can go to your website and you can find out, I know you have a lot of recommendations on those products, but how much would that bring in? Obviously there's a cost, that's going to offset, your potential profits, but and you openly admitted it, you're trying to stack your Bitcoin. So even if you're spending a little extra bit money on your electricity to accumulate some Bitcoin, it might even be, it's all relative. Does Bitcoin go to $20,000? Then are you mad that you spent that money, right?
Here's the thing is people are buying Bitcoin right now. And if I can, I would much rather mine Bitcoin than go to Coinbase and stick my credit card in there and buy Bitcoin.
Sure.
Don't ask me why, but that's just
I understand.
Because at the end of the day, I don't have to pay transaction fees on it and all that other stuff, So I would prefer, if I'm going to have to buy Bitcoin, I would rather mine it and essentially just pay for my electricity that way.
Sure.
And most times I can get it for cheaper than what I could buy it for doing it that way.
So what would a typical, if you plugged it in right now and at the end of the week, what do you think you would accumulate in Bitcoin costs, just based off of, whether it be an average or just an estimate? No one's going to hold you to this, but is it worth it? Especially maybe someone's just interested to have some extra money laying around and mining. That's a different mindset than going to be profitable. But I mean, would you recommend this to somebody who is just interested?
As far as like the ASIC mining arena goes,
Sure.
it's a little bit more complex than it is in the GPU mining arena, just because again, you're going to be competing with these big, large Chinese manufacturers that make these. What typically happens now, nobody can prove this, but this is what they've been accused of over and over again when it comes to Bitcoin mining is they'll develop a faster chipset than what the previous model was, but they won't mass market it yet. They'll plug it in at their own mining operation. And so what we
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I don't blame them either. They're the ones developing the chips, and they got to quote unquote test these machines out, right, to make sure that it's a good product. But you're always going to be behind the ball with these Chinese manufacturers because they're going to have the latest chipsets first because they have the engineers that are engineering these. And so you're always getting a version behind them. And so then you're going to be in competition with them. Because I mean, if you look at Bitmain, for example, they're bootstrapped to a large cloud mining operation where you can rent hash power from them called BitDeer. And so essentially what they're doing is they're just, running out those machines, but they've already mined on those machines for who knows how long, right? And they've been accused of it time and time again. So it's not to say that you can't make money in this space, but it's a little bit more complicated because you're always going to be competing against other ASIC miners, and you don't know if you got the latest machine out there or what they're doing behind the scenes. And so there's no really transparency there. But if you look at the Bitcoin mining difficulty chart, it seems kind of weird that the difficulty keeps going up and up and up, despite the fact that Bitcoin went down, but now it's going back up again. And so it's a more
isn't that good for the market, in reference to the fact that we want it to stay high because it sets a base price for what Bitcoin should cost.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is when Bitcoin went down to $3,000, I knew in my mind, I was like, there's no way that this price point is going to last very long because it's not very profitable for those mine. Bitcoin has to be at a certain price around $8,000 to $10,000 for it to be profitable for even those Chinese, overseas mining operations to even make a profit. And so I feel like they're kind of, everybody can say what they want, that the whales kind of manipulate and control the market, but the miners kind of do too, because miners don't like to sell their coins unless they have to. They like to hold. I mean, they're the best hodlers on the planet. And so when you have a coin like Bitcoin, I guess that's what makes it so valuable is it's probably one of the most mined coins on the planet right now. And most of those miners are just selling enough to pay for their operational costs. That's it. They hold on to the rest.
Yeah. And I mean, I think me, along with many others, they share that sentiment that Bitcoin's going to be, 24, 36, $100,000 one day, and if they don't have to sell it, they're not going to, because, we all see a bigger return coming to one extent or the next. Plus, I can imagine the difficulty that it's going to be for miners when Bitcoin is $50,000 or $100,000 if it gets to that price. Obviously, that's a speculative, guess and hope on my side, but I have no reason based off of, the past price, discrepancies that we've had, throughout the last 10 years. 1 year it's 16 cents, and the next year, 10 years later, we're at 10,000. It's a nice place to be. And I look at, where Ethereum is, and we'll get into that here shortly. But there's a big difference in what Bitcoin's done. Bitcoin is $10,000. At one point, Bitcoin was a penny. It was super easy to mine. There were no expectations. People didn't know what to think, but it survived. And today, those Bitcoins that were mined, as cheap as they were to mine, and the laptop being used using a laptop, we're at a price today that's just astronomically different. Ethereum has gone through this retrace in price on a really high level, hasn't seen before to some extent or the next. But I anticipate that Ethereum's strong enough and it's been around long enough, and this just changed the proof of stake will probably increase, the amount will decrease the amount of liquidity of Ethereum long term. But I don't really know that. That's still a speculative guess. But what do you see in this Ethereum transition over to proof of stake? And is this going to be the future of these ERC20 tokens based off of, them being the leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so the one thing that I will say about Ethereum mining right now, just to kind of, highlight on that, is a lot of people ask me, like, why do you mine Ethereum? And I'm like, well, it's, if you look at the stats, that coin actually has more development going on than almost all the other coins combined. And so if you look at who's all working on that project, and I know there's people out there that hate Ethereum, that's an altcoin, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, if you really look at the stats and you really study the history of Vitalik, I mean, that kid, I mean, he's been in, the Bitcoin industry for longer than almost all of us,
Sure.
And so he's seen a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And I think that he's really got a great mindset, and he's got the know-how to kind of make sure that project he can drive at home. As far as them switching to proof of stake, I don't know if they'll do a full-blown POS. I think it's going to be a hybrid POS, POW kind of thing. And I think that they're running into issues and trying to figure out how to keep it still secure, because and I don't want to get into all the technicals and stuff like that and kind of, weird everybody out, but there's something to be said about proof of work. When you're creating and spending money on building a machine, and then you're spending money on electricity versus just buying some coins and locking them up in a wallet, and it creates more coins, right? And so, when there's actual work involved that was, that you spent your time, your money on, there's more value into that, and then just holding coins in a wallet and hoping that it's going to produce more coins, because then it opens up the chance for people to, I just don't feel like people respect it as much. You know what I mean? Like they kind of dump it when they get a coin in there. They're like, oh, I got another coin, let me dump it, Whereas when you mine it again, people like to hold it, And so
I agree with you completely on that.
The
Dustin,
barrier
I look at
really low on that, you know what I mean? So there's no really effort into getting into that entry level position like that.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you explained it that way too. I also agree with you. The proof of work to me, and I mentioned this a second ago too, and you just kind of reiterated and went in a little bit more detail, on why this is the case. But when you do have a proof of work, it does set a base price for that token. I also believe that Ethereum, and you nailed it, Ethereum has a ton of development going on, and I laugh at the people who, it's right now, it's really easy to hate on all the altcoins because they all went down, right? And deservingly so for most of them. But that's just a cyclic nature of this market and this anticipation. You have people who are just sick and tired of it. They see Bitcoin going up. They're selling out of all of their altcoins, and they're getting into Bitcoin because they really have a lot of belief in Bitcoin. I do too. I think Bitcoin is the king. I don't see a need for anything to replace the king. I think Bitcoin does a great job of being the king, and I don't want it to change. I like saying that because, I have a ton of Bitcoin. I don't have 3,000 Bitcoin. If I did, I would really be a maximalist, right? But I don't have that much Bitcoin. And the majority of what I do own now isn't Bitcoin. But I learned some hard lessons, and I also regret some of these decisions I made to sell out of some of these coins. They've been good choices up to now. But where Bitcoin may go to 100,000, that's a 10x, right? That's great. Don't get me wrong. I there's nothing I want more than Bitcoin to go 10x, right? I want that more than personal, satisfaction of watching my other coins go up 50x. But the potential for some of these other coins that are in development that do have, what we're going to see as the future of this industry, they are going to exist. Crypto coins, crypto projects, they're not going away. They are not going away. There are going to be less IEOs. We've seen this already happen. I think the IEO experiment was a good, come to Jesus, if you will. Like people went and did these IEOs, but they did not catch on the way that ICOs did. That's a lot of maturity in this market. But overall, we're in this situation where there are great projects. In 2014, 2013, when there was the last crash, right before the last crash, there was a lot of other coins that came out. Doge was a joke coin, right? It was worth a sat. And, it's gone up how many? 150x sometimes, right? I mean, depending on what you do with it, but it was mineable. I mean, it's a Bitcoin fork, I guess, of some sort, or clone at least. Litecoin's the same way. All these coins, they've been lower and they went back up and they sustained a certain value. And that was because they have had proof of work. I mean, that's what I believe. I also think that, with Ethereum, we're going to have this reinvigoration of what Ethereum's allowing crypto to do. This blockchain project called Ethereum is going to scale. It's going to scale. Like you said, look at all the people working on it. But more importantly, it's going to find use cases. And that's the great thing about a free market is if it's not going to be valuable, it's only a matter of time. However, when you find value and when you find reasons to exist, you are going to make it. If they are able to find reasons why they should exist, and I'm telling you, that's coming. I don't think me and you disagree with that. The gaming network, the whole gaming, based off of everything I know, and I'm a gamer, there is a need for a transactionable peer-to-peer, I guess in-game currency where you can transact in-game. And some game is going to come along and it's going to implement that on a level we've never seen before. And if you don't think that's going to happen, you're blind. Because if you think that everybody's just going to sit still and not get better, look at Fortnite. They did something that nobody else, they gave that game away for free. And they made billions and billions and billions of dollars. Had you asked EA Sports or Microsoft or somebody else if that was possible 5 years ago, they'd laugh. No, you can't make that much money on a free game. Not on Xbox, not on PC, but they did. I mean, this is going to happen. Those of you who think it won't, you're just not seeing it. And you're going to sit still waiting on Bitcoin to go up. And I'm waiting on Bitcoin to go up too. I'm just also speculative on other possibilities. Sorry for that rant.
For sure. No, for sure. I'm totally with you. I mean, I've seen the post and, the other groups and stuff like that. And, it's like you even say the word altcoin and they just kind of throw tomatoes at you on Facebook. But I'm here to tell you that this altcoin market, when it does, and I don't know when, but when it does, if you don't have your position built, you're never going to catch it. You're not going to, and I think it's going to surprise all of us. I mean, it just takes time, you know what I mean? And right now we're kind of at I feel like we're at kind of like the belly of the bottom of it. And, you just have to be patient. And so the one thing that I've learned is that there's a lot of people in the crypto space that think they know it all, and they're just not very patient. And so,
absolutely,
if you're in it for the Lamborghinis, I'm here to tell you, you probably, unless you got, I don't know, I just don't see you getting a Lamborghini. Sorry.
Not on Bitcoin. not on starting off with Bitcoin without a tremendous position. Bitcoin got a top on it, and we're impatient. We think 10 years from now is a long time in crypto, and it really isn't. But looking back 10 years, I mean, bro, who could have held on to their entire position from 2012, right? I mean, I wouldn't have. You'd be silly if you did. I mean, it would have been financially irresponsible for you to just be holding Bitcoin right now.
If I could have got $5 Bitcoin and rode that up to 1,400 back in 2015, 2014, I would have sold.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it'd be financially irresponsible if you didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's trading, so.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about the future of altcoin mining? You kind of answered a little bit about it when you talked about Ethereum and how they would probably do a hybrid. Is this what you see as the standard going forward?
For the POW, no, I don't really see. I see a lot of what I think is going to be pretty surprising is that Mimblewimble algorithm. There's a lot of new blockchains, or a lot of new cryptocurrencies that are launching on that Mimblewimble. I haven't really had the chance to deep dive into it yet, but essentially from what I understand is that you don't have to carry the full blockchain as a node to mine on the network. And so then it creates a more efficient, scalable blockchain. From my understanding, in a nutshell, that's what Mimblewimble is. Somehow they figured out where you don't have to carry a full copy of the blockchain to be a node on the network. And so,
isn't that what makes the blockchain so unique? Is that the nodes are carried? You do have the full blockchain, and therefore, everything is time. It's resistant to time overlapping or passing by some mistakes. I mean, everything's going to be there forever.
Right. Well, I'm saying that to be a miner on the network, I guess they're requiring. From my understanding, is that when it comes to scalability, once the blockchain and we've gotten 20 years worth of transactions, there's no they don't want to carry all that around, because if you want to download a core wallet on your device and stuff like that, then it's going to be a large file. It's going to be a large file. So
yeah, that makes sense too. And that's one of the issues, obviously, with Bitcoin is, it works right now. It's a little bit slow. I don't find any issues with that. I believe, if you're going to move gold, if you're going to move $40,000 worth of gold, guess what? It's not going to be easy either. You're going to have to literally put it in a vehicle and you're going to have to drive it somewhere. You're definitely not going to be carrying it. Number one, because it would be dangerous and you would probably get robbed and killed. Number two, because it's heavy. It's inconvenient based off of many things. But lastly, it's supposed to be. If you have something that's really simple and really easy to move around, and it's really, you're able to get your hands on it whenever, right? Well, then it's no longer rare. It's no longer easy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Bitcoin beautiful. And that's why that digital gold reference, I believe, is so relevant. And, that's why it's the standard. To me, that's the reason why it doesn't need to change. Being slow and being a little bit, inconvenient to use, that's okay. It makes it keeps I mean, it should even be expensive to move. That doesn't hurt my feelings. People are like, oh, the transaction fees are too. I'm like, good. Stop moving it. Stop selling your Bitcoin. Every time you sell your Bitcoin, you're hurting the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and kind of back to the altcoin mining thing, that I do think that there's, like Beam and Grin, those are great coins to mine right now. Those are two great projects that are, I'm not even sure what the price of Beam is right now, but the last time I checked, Grin was sitting around $5. There's a lot of miner support in that. Sure. Beam's a good one. Even some Bitcoin every now and again is a great altcoin to mine. And so
that's a Litecoin. It's a Litecoin fork.
Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look it up real quick, but yes, I do think it is a fork. And so, if I was to kind of educate anybody, if they wanted to say, well, what should I get into, Dustin? Should I get into ASIC mining Bitcoin? Should I buy an ASIC miner to mine Litecoin? My personal favorite, and this is just me, what I prefer, it's all what you really want to do. If I prefer to GPU mine. Now, you're not going to go and buy a pre-built GPU miner from China like you can an ASIC miner. An ASIC miner, it's plug and play. You buy it from China. It comes in the mail with all this hieroglyphic writing on the side of the box and everything. And you just plug it in, put a wallet address in there, and a monkey can do it, right?
Sure.
And there's not too many problems with it. You don't have too much downtime with it because it's just designed to run, Whereas GPU mining, there is a little bit of a steeper learning curve, but it offers so much versatility as far as what coins you can mine and stuff like that. So with the ASIC miner, I will say that, if you buy a Litecoin ASIC miner, then the only coins that it can mine is anything that operates on the script algorithm. So you're kind of narrowing your funnel of opportunity, whereas with GPU mining, it has a much wider funnel of coins that you can mine. So that way you can kind of, if you need to shift around and chase profits, you can do that. With an ASIC miner, you're kind of very restricted on what you can and cannot mine. So
sure, that's great advice too, Dustin. Now, obviously you have a lot on your website, and let's talk about your website a little bit. If you're brand new to the mining, space, or even if you're not, obviously there's a lot that you can get out of there, including deals and stuff. Dustin does a lot of the work for you. And I know that you've got a lot of ideas coming up that me and you've spoken about. But if you're new and you go to your website, and you're just trying, like, a little bit about crypto, obviously, or else, you wouldn't be at your website to begin with, but you stumble across, cryptominertips.com, you get on there, and next thing you're getting certain information. What kind of advice are you giving these people visiting your website for the first time?
For right now, I'm kind of geared more towards like the beginner level, because I feel like, that's where I can best serve people is at the very basic level. Not to say that I won't give advice to somebody that's been in mining for a year or two. I got no issues with that, but, I just kind of want to, what I really, my whole intention with it is to kind of just, when I first got into mining, there wasn't a lot of guides out there. There wasn't a lot of information out there. I struggled to get information. And so it wasn't until I got into Slack, Discord, all these little chat groups that you can't Google search on Google, and, just spent hours obsessing and asking questions and stuff like that. And so, I want to educate people, because a lot of people still think that you can mine a whole Bitcoin. Believe it or not, there's a lot of new people that get in the space and think that they can mine a whole Bitcoin with a laptop. And that's just
crazy.
Yeah, those days are long gone. So that's one of the biggest things that I try to educate people on, and the reasons why, but also what other opportunities there are out there. You know what I mean? So, I kind of bust their bubble, letting them know that, you're not going to be able to get a whole Bitcoin on a laptop anymore unless you're going to live for, 70,000 years or something like that. But
sure.
There's still a lot of
clear too. You don't need a full Bitcoin to make this worth it, but you're not going to do it on your laptop, right? And there's plenty of ways to mine for Bitcoin by mining other coins, as you mentioned. Mine them, sell them for Bitcoin. Go to the exchange, dump them, get your Bitcoin.
Yeah, or even learn how to maybe even just start small with like a laptop and do some spec coin mining, and if you can get 50 of those coins and it goes up to $1 or 50 cents, well, that's 25 to 50 bucks that you potentially made in a day's worth of mining. Now, are you going to have to hold on to those coins for a couple of years? Yeah, these coins probably ain't even listed on any exchanges, but that mining's the only way that certain coins out there, some of these decentralized exchanges, I will not put any kind of user information. I do not, I don't trust how they work. You know what I mean? And so, with a laptop, if you want to kind of get some of these coins, this is a great way to mine them, whether early on you can accumulate a lot and hang on to them for 2 or 3 years until they start getting listed on the bigger exchanges, and then offload them then. And, who knows what that could be worth, in 2 to 3 years. But that's the only way that you're going to be able to get those coins is by just mining them early on. And so,
well said.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dustin, we'll kind of wind this conversation down a little bit, but let's make sure where can everybody find you? Let's start with that.
So if you guys want, you can go to cryptominertips.com. If you want to get in touch with me, probably the best way is to hit me up on Discord. There's a Discord link in there on the sidebar. And so just hop in the Discord. If I'm at work during the day or stuff like that, I do a lot of solar energy stuff. So typically I'm unavailable throughout the day, but just drop a message and tag me in there. And if you need any question, if you have any questions, need any help, that's kind of what that Discord's there for, to make sure that you can, we can kind of hold your hand and kind of guide you, depending on, what kind of budget you're working with and what route you want to go. And so, yeah.
Well, I'm really grateful for your time today, Dustin. I think it was really a beneficial and fun conversation that we've been able to have. I do my, I don't know if you've been listening to my podcast, we'll find out, but I do have a quick fire session. I like to do it at the end of each session or interview. That's just a little bit more fun, makes you a little bit more human. Right. And so, I ask a few questions. I didn't prep you for this. And, Dustin, you're a good friend of mine. I know you pretty well. We've known each other now for 2.5, 3 years almost. And, we've gone through the ups and downs together, man. We've seen a lot. And, you've been a great member of Crypto Coin Trader. You've been a great moderator for CCT at different times. When you have time that you're able to come in, I think you've probably been a moderator 2 or 3 times. And I'm grateful for your contributions, though, man. And you provided a lot. You help out with the CCT mining group. But most importantly, you've done something great with your website, and that's cryptominertips.com, as I said before. I encourage, and even if you're not a miner, that's a great place to go and get educated on. You should know what mining is. You should understand it to be in the space. I mean, it's a really drastic and important aspect of crypto, is it not?
It is, and most people just focus on the money aspect, like buy and hold, and
trading.
During this downtime, that's a great time to research and kind of find out and educate yourself about the technology, because I think that's what keeps you long-term focused, is understanding the tech and understanding where the space is going. And if you're just focused on the money thing, you're going to get impatient really quick, and you're just not going to understand why, you're just not going to understand as much and not have as much faith in the technology if you don't start researching and kind of getting into, what these things are. And so I feel like my website's a great place to kind of break that down to a very basic level so that anybody can understand it,
I completely agree, Dustin. You've done a great job with it. All right. So let's hop right into quick fire. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Goonies.
The Goonies. That's a classic. That's kind of our generation, All right. Aliens. Have they ever visited planet Earth?
Of course. Absolutely. 100%.
Any evidence?
Elon Musk.
You think he's an alien?
Oh, 100%.
Fair enough. I mean, Tesla, that's his all-time, favorite hero. And you can understand, Tesla might have been from outer space somewhere or some other dimension. Tesla did a lot. Tesla, it falls right along with Elon. Like, they're changing the way that everybody views the world and the capabilities. They're raising the standard. Tesla just got probably more than likely. Didn't he die at like 29 years old or something?
I don't know.
It was young. He was young.
Yeah.
Right. And for him to have done everything he'd done, potentially created the internet way back in the day. Right. Yeah. And the ability for wireless electricity and energy. Anyways, this is quick fire. This is not long fire. Right. All right. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, who is the most influential or the best person in the space that's affected you the most?
Well, obviously, I'd have to say you first off.
Thank you.
we were in CCT when it was just a messenger group. You know what
Exactly
I mean?
right.
So I've kind of followed you along this whole path and this whole journey and watched you just kind of blossom CCT into what it is today. So the other person I have to say is Warren Kritko. 100%. He's over there at Crypto U.
Warren's a good guy.
Really nice guy. Yeah, absolutely.
And they're trying their best over there too, and I applaud them and support their efforts. Good answers. Obviously, I'm flattered and I appreciate your thoughts. And all right, so moving into the one of the last few questions. Remember this. I like you to be honest. You don't have to answer anything, right? You can always pass up a question, but I like to kind of put the pressure on a little bit. But what is it that's causing the most problems in the space? Quick fire.
Oh, man, I think it's just impatient noobs, man. Impatient noobs and people just buying into the news like they want you to buy into. I mean, I feel like there's fake news sources out there that just put out fake FUD to kind of create that fear. Yeah.
They know what they're doing, right?
They know exactly what they're doing, Jordan Belfort isn't helping us much either, so you can kind of go to hell.
Yeah, I can kind of correlate it to this, the hemp market, the U.S. just decriminalized hemp, and hemp is worth a lot of money right now. There's just not enough farmers, and there's a really high demand. And I believe that demand is going to be exceptionally high. I've seen the plastic that can be made from hemp, that how it can replace cotton in a lot of different ways, and how sustainable and how well hemp will work with so many different things, but it's really eco-friendly. And, we're on this, save the planet, this environment issues, one way or the next, whatever you believe. Taking care of the environment is never an issue. Like that should be all of our goals. Do I think some things are a little bit exaggerated? Sure. Doesn't mean we don't need to fix certain things though, right? So regardless of how you actually feel, I see the hemp market right now. And then I start seeing like some FUD articles, and it's like these people are putting out information because they don't want more people involved yet, right? They want to be in the forefront, and anybody they can discourage from showing up, or at least put enough fear in them to maybe back off a little bit, I think is what their goal is by putting out this information. And it took me a long time in crypto to realize people actually don't want the price of Bitcoin to go up because they genuinely are doing certain things. They don't want to start mining and everybody else start mining. They want to be one of the few people. And if you hear of some of these power players trying to get into the space by doing this or starting to mine that, you're going to do what you can to keep your competition out, right? And it's only a matter of time until Bitcoin goes up. Now, with that statement, can Bitcoin be $1 million one day?
Absolutely, 100%. I don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think that over the next 5 years, I mean, that's, I feel like it's pretty achievable. Just look at, even Jamie Dimon. I mean, the most pessimistic Bitcoin hating punk on the planet. And now they're filing crypto patents. I seen the other day, I don't know if it was fake news, Bank of America is filing crypto patents for crypto wallets. What the hell are they doing? You know what I mean? Like, really look at all the partnerships and look at how people's attitudes are kind of shifting now. And so, if you can turn Jamie Dimon into that, I mean, you can make a believer out of anybody, right? And so,
it's a good point.
I just think that, we're going to be on that path to get to $1 million. I honestly think that $100,000 within the next 2 years, probably.
And I encourage a lot of the people that I talk to, and you've heard me talking now for several years, but I don't like viewing Bitcoin as a US dollar. I don't like even comparing it to the US dollar because I don't think they are the same thing. We can value what Bitcoin's worth and how much it's affected our lives by stating the US dollar value. I have no problem with that. I do it all the time, right? Bitcoin's at $10,000. It's $10,000. That means I can relate to what $10,000 is. It's a measurement of value, right? And it's easy. But to me, Bitcoin, and we already kind of went over this a little bit, but Bitcoin is not a US dollar. It's a piece of gold, right? Digital gold. And as we start making people understand that it's more of a store of value, like gold, it's a standard, right? If we can take that concept and make it the idea is actually built around that rather than, hey, you can go to the store and buy your coffee with it. Don't spend Bitcoin on your coffee. You're an idiot, right? Bitcoin's going to go up.
Starbucks is shit anyways. So
exactly, right? So, whether your AT&T bill, like use your dollars for that. I mean, if you're in a bad situation, you got to sell some of your Bitcoin. Sure, it makes it convenient. That's one less transaction you got to do on BitPay or on Coinbase of your own. You can just go straight to the website on AT&T and pay your bill. Great. Awesome. Do it if you have to. But why would you do that when you think Bitcoin's going to go up? You're in the space for a reason, right? Don't spend your money. And I think people see it as a spendable currency That's the wrong idea. It is spendable, but it's a store of value. You're not going to go to the gas station with your gold and like chip off like a half a gram and be like, here's $20 worth of gold so I can fill my gas up. You know, of course not. You would never do that. It's the stupidest idea that you could ever do. In fact, they might not even take it, right? If they did take it, they would just put it in their pocket and then pay your $20 for you so they could have some gold. That's what I would do if I was the store clerk, if I had $20. Anyways, don't want to get too off topic, but hopefully that at least, you understand this. So the audience listening, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Dustin, last question. Goonies, your favorite movie? Who's your favorite actor all time?
Oh man, it's
better be hard.
Haven't
given you a hard one yet.
I would have to say, man, if it's Johnny Depp from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, man.
Fair point.
100%. If I had to pick one, it's hard to choose between him and the dude from The Big Lebowski. You know what I mean? Not Jeff Daniels. I'm horrible with names.
Man, he's in a ton of movies, but he's great. Yeah, Big Lebowski is a classic. I cannot believe I forgot his name. I'll think of it as soon as we get off, of course. But anyways, Dustin, any last words? What did we miss? Anything we didn't talk about?
No, not really. I guess the biggest thing, if you guys are looking to get into mining, I would suggest start looking into getting into it now versus later, because the price of this hardware is at an all-time low right now. But once the profits come back in strong, guess what happens to the price of that hardware? It goes up 2x, 3x, 4x. So with mining, you kind of have to get in the space a little bit early, kind of like what I did in pre-bull run 2017. It was kind of the perfect storm. I got in at the right time and boom, it worked out beautifully. And so in fact, I'm still holding on to my equipment, getting ready for round 2. And so don't be the guy that waits until the profits are sky high and then you have to kind of scour the internet to find hardware. Do it while there's tons of graphics cards available.
Well, bro, it won't be safe then. I'm not gonna be safe at that point, right? That's what we all want to be. We all just want guarantees, right? Be as safe as possible.
Yeah. And so it's investing, so it doesn't come without risk. That's all I can tell you.
It's speculative. No matter what you're doing in the space, if you wait, you're wrong.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. Real estate, stocks, whatever you're doing, any investment platform comes with risk. And so.
Yeah. And on that note, if you do have genuine questions, like I said several times in this, Dustin is my go-to. I don't trust anybody before him. He is my only consultant I take on a really high level. If I have serious questions or whether I have a basic question that makes me sound like an idiot, he'll always answer it. I mean, he doesn't even make fun of me, right? Sometimes he's a little bit, like, oh, Joe, come on. I told you this last time, but he's never been giving me a hard time ever about even the simplest or the stupidest questions. And I always appreciated that about you, Dustin. And you've always been there for me on those notes. And we've had a lot of fun together, man, learning. And I'm glad to see your success. You deserve it as much as anybody else I know. I'm proud for you, bro. And I look forward to seeing what cryptominertips.com does soon. And if you have any questions whatsoever, go there, get on the Discord. He's there. He's going to help. He does it from the bottom of his heart. If you need help with anything, he does have, some links up where you can go and click and find and figure out. And if you have questions, he's going to help you get fitted, man. It's kind of like play golf. You got to go get your clubs fitted. Well, he's going to go get you fitted for your mining situation. If you're nice to him, don't be an ass, But anyways, long story short, that's it for me. Dustin, last words?
No, that's basically it. Unless you want to put maybe, a link down in the description, let people know that there could potentially be a link in the description so that they can go straight to the Discord from there.
I'll have that'll be in there, folks. But it's pretty simple. You have a great, by the way, awesome. Good job getting cryptominertips.com. I don't know how much you spent on that, but it was probably a lot. So,
$3.
Well, you're also lucky. So, follow the luck, folks. Anyways, all right, Bitcoin Radio. Until next time, thanks for joining us. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you, Dustin. I hope that, look, if you have ideas or if you have guests or if you have somebody that you want me to bring on, look, send me an email, joe@bitcoinradio.com, or send me a message on Facebook. I'm around. I want better guests. I want bigger guests. I want whoever you want. I've been very, very lucky to have who I've had on so far. But we're always looking to get better. We're always looking to bring people on that have done great things for the space. People like Dustin, and we may not Dustin Minch or Joe Blackburn might not be household names, but these are Dustin's somebody who's doing great things for the space and helping out on the ground floor of this revolution, right? And we all believe in the space one way or the next. We all want our Bitcoin to go up. We all need to be educated, and that's everything from mining all the way up to buying and selling and trading. It all matters. It's all relevant. And I will look forward to our next conversation, Bitcoin Radio. Until next time, we'll see you soon. And look, hold Bitcoin. The cryptoverse belongs to all of us. This is WBTC, where Bitcoin lives.